And our top focus story on the broadcast is the story of hope. The United Kingdom becomes the first country in the world to approve mass vaccination and immunization to battle novel coronavirus. This Pfizer-BioNTech vaccine from next week will be given to people in the United Kingdom, in England and in Scotland. There is a roadmap that's been prepared. First, it's the elderly, then healthcare workers, and then the NHS staff. But will every citizen need to be vaccinated? And also what happens to the vaccines in India? Lavina Tandon in London brings you a top story tonight.
An important milestone in humanity's fight against COVID pandemic. UK has become the first Western country to approve a COVID-19 vaccine, with its regulator clearing Pfizer and BioNTech's shot. The emergency authorization clears the way for distribution of a vaccine that is expected to play a significant role in the global effort to halt the coronavirus. The messenger RNA-based vaccine claims to have shown 95% effectiveness in clinical trials. The vaccine will be available in Britain from next week.
This vaccine has only been approved because those strict tests have been done and complied with. And everyone can be absolutely confident that no corners whatsoever have been cut.
UK Prime Minister Boris Johnson hailed the breakthrough. He says the vaccine will allow people to reclaim their lives and get the economy going. The vaccine comes at a time when Britain's COVID death toll has neared 60,000.
I know that the whole House will want to join me in welcoming the fantastic news that the MHRA has formally authorised the Pfizer vaccine for COVID-19. The vaccine will begin to be made available across the UK from next week. I would like to pay tribute to and to thank all those who have made this possible. It is the protection of vaccines that will ultimately allow us to reclaim our lives and get our economy moving again.
Londoners, however, are sceptical.
Other people are sceptical, but I think once they understand and see everyone, see everyone else having it without hesitation, I think you'll find that people will go and have it. Because this is life-threatening. I mean, people are dying of COVID, so.
Personally, I would not want to take it because I think things are happening too quickly. I am not a big person that's weary of the COVID. It's a flu, it's not like Ebola, so I'm not too fussed about it.
India, which has its own promising vaccine candidates, is yet to strike a deal with Pfizer. However, experts believe that the need for ultra-low temperature storage and high cost makes Pfizer vaccine unviable for India. Pfizer's vaccine is the second after Russia's Sputnik V to be cleared for use. Sputnik, however, is being used mainly in Russia, even as it undergoes trial in India and many other countries.
To people like us, this vaccine actually will be reaching out anytime soon because there are only 40 million doses that the UK has secured, 10 million on the way by the end of the month, but still not enough for everybody here in the whole UK population. But then Oxford Jenner is very close in the queue. So one is hopeful, with fingers crossed, that by the time Pfizer rolls it out next week, Oxford Jenner will be approved by the regulators, which is easier to administer and cheaper.
So you're looking at reactions coming in from the United Kingdom. The Prime Minister is extremely thrilled. He says this is one way of reclaiming lives, also get the economy going. But people on the streets are slightly apprehensive. A process that usually takes up to 10 years has been compressed to 10 months. Though the government then says no corners have been cut. But should people beware? Joining me on the broadcast is Dr. Renu Jainer. She's a consultant at the Queen Elizabeth Hospital NHS Trust UK. Also with me is Dr. Harsh Mahajan. He's the founder of Mahajan Imaging. But Dr. Jainer, if I may come to you first. This is the first story of hope in the battle against novel coronavirus. The first good story, if I may, after maybe a year. But what's the roadmap, Doctor? What's the roadmap for immunization in the United Kingdom?
Yes, I think it's a very exciting time for us because thank you for inviting me to this program, Gaurav. It is definitely good news because at the beginning of the year, everyone was feeling low, the mortality was increasing, and now we've got this ray of hope. Of course, we've got the phase 3 results of the Oxford trial as well, which once the MHRA regulator has approved it, we'll have that as well. But the roadmap would be we have to prioritize the elderly people in the nursing home first, and the NHS staff. The older they are, so 80 plus will get it first. And we have placed a fairly big order, but of course it won't suffice everyone. It will, however, help us in reducing the mortality. And as you said earlier, the temperature is the main issue, and it will have to be stored on dry ice, as they say, but it will always be the priority will be the elderly people, because we don't want ITU hospitals being filled up again like we had in spring, summer, which was a very difficult time for UK, which you can understand.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Dr. Mahajan, as far as novel coronavirus is concerned, this is a very important milestone in the war against the novel coronavirus, Wuhan virus, as some say. How would you describe this vaccine that's coming, the road ahead, and the price when we talk about this particular vaccine, the Pfizer vaccine?
Thank you for having me on the show, Gaurav. I think it's a historical day. As you've already said, 10 years of work compressed into 10 months. This is because of countries coming together, because of private and public coming together, pooling resources, pooling knowledge, that this has happened. I can assure your viewers that any vaccine that passes muster and comes into use would have had all the safety checks already done. Just because the timeline has been shortened dramatically, there should be no concern, as I heard someone on the streets of London saying that they are concerned about safety. I think all checks and balances are in place. That's number one. Number two, this particular vaccine is probably not for India, not in any large measure in any case, because as has been already said, you have to store it at minus 70 degrees centigrade. Maybe in the larger cities, we may have some places where that storage is possible, but not across the country. Also, it's very, very expensive, maybe even 10 times or more of what the indigenously produced vaccine will be. So what we need to look at is, as the slogan goes, Atmanirbhar Bharat. So we have to look within. And when we look within the country, I think we are in a very, very good position. As you know, India manufactures today about
in
3
a moment,
billion.
I will come to the India story. Yes, sir. Dr. Mahajan,
Sure,
in a moment,
sure.
I will come to the India story and the preparations that are on in our country. But for the moment, Dr. Jainer, if I may, storage at minus 70 degrees, would this be difficult even in the UK to transport it and to administer it to a large population? And how does that happen? Does it happen through the NHS, ma'am, and at hospitals, or will special centers need to be set up?
Yes, and I think that is the key, Gaurav, that we, because it has to be stored at a certain temperature, so the NHS staff will be prioritized. Sorry, it's gone a bit dark here, but the NHS staff will be prioritized because it's easier to give in hospitals. It's easier to give in residential homes, where it's harder in smaller primary care centers. I don't know if the viewers understand what NHS is, but basically it's a national health service in UK, where 95% of the health services are provided by the government. So it is, the government buys them in bulk, and then it is going to be transported on dry ice to the big hospitals. And the NHS staff who are working there, the people who are frontline, doctors, nurses, they will be prioritized. The elderly people in residential homes, because majority of the elderly population in the West don't actually stay within homes, which we have the advantage in India, or disadvantage, whichever way you look at it. I think for the vaccine, it is, so the residential homes are the ones where we had massive mortality in the summer and spring. And we want to ensure that these people are not hospitalized and do not die in hospital. So we'll try and tackle them first. Not tackle them, protect them first.
Will cost be an issue? Before I come back to Dr. Mahajan, you know, with some saying that this could be as expensive as maybe $100 a dose or more, and does it have to be two shots, ma'am? Is that what is that what we understand? That's point one. And point two, 10 years compressed to 10 months. Dr. Mahajan says shouldn't be a reason to be concerned, but people on the streets in the UK are saying they'd rather wait and watch. Could there be side effects?
I think that is the apprehension a lot of people have. But however, I would like to assure the MHRA, which is the Medicine and Health Regulatory Body Authority for us in UK, they have ensured that it's a safe. They have actually they are okay with it, and they are actually now going to approve the Oxford AstraZeneca one as well. So they are very clear, and they would not take any shortcuts. Yes, the work has been compressed, but quite often a lot of the work was already done prior to that, but it had to be specifically made for the COVID vaccine. And that is how, so the scientists have been working really hard, and so have the molecular biologists. And I think the cost is an issue. The cost, they're saying it's about $39 per dose, and then you have to give 2. Oxford AstraZeneca one will be much cheaper. It's about £3, which is about 250 rupees in India. So I would, most of the, like the majority of the UK will get that vaccine later, because it has the advantage of storage in the fridge. So you can store it in the fridge, and a lot of the primary health centers.
In fact, absolutely, that would be the game changer, the cost and the storage. But Dr. Mahajan, in your appreciation, will a lot of monitoring and surveillance be required? Those who've been administered the doses, the 80 plus, the healthcare workers, also others who get the doses, they would have to be monitored, and surveillance would have to be done for a considerable period of time to know that there are no side effects, even in the UK?
You know, in the UK, since it's all going to be done through the NHS, and you have the GP system well in place, I'm sure that surveillance will be done very, very well. But by and large, once a vaccine has been approved, you can, think that the side effects are going to be minimal. They won't be zero, but especially the serious side effects would more or less have been eliminated. Some side effects like fever or pain at the local site may be there. In the NHS, I think it would be very easy to monitor this, especially the elderly and those healthcare workers who are actually given the dose first. But what we need to remember is that it's not one vaccine that's going to be the answer. There is a basket of vaccines which will be covering or trying to cover as many people as possible, as would be the case in India, where, you know, India is the manufacturing hub for vaccines in the world. We manufacture close to 3 billion doses a year, and out of them, about 1 billion are used in India, 2 billion are exported. And there are 3 vaccine candidates that are very actively being pursued in India. One of them is the same Oxford AstraZeneca vaccine, which is being manufactured by the Serum Institute in Pune. And they already have been manufacturing, I think, since July onwards, thinking that if this vaccine comes good, then they would already have a substantial, maybe even 200 million doses ready by end of December. So then you don't have to wait. You don't start manufacturing at that point of time.
Fair enough, and that's the good news story, that India, in fact, Dr. Mahajan, that's the cue for the next report, the India story, the India vaccine story. 3 being manufactured, many more, it's being said, you know, will be able to take advantage, not just in people living in India, but people living in Africa, people living in other parts of the world. Take a look at this report.
With over 89 lakh people recovering from COVID-19 and 4,26,000 active cases in India, the COVID pandemic is far from over in India. As the world races to find a vaccine, India too is among the front runners. Last Saturday, Prime Minister Narendra Modi undertook a whirlwind 3-city tour to take stock of the progress at 3 vaccine hubs. Donning a PPE kit, the Prime Minister spent time in the labs to hear scientists explain the finer details of their work.
वैक्सीन की रिसर्च के मामले में हम इस स्थिति में आए हैं कि 2021 में देश के लोगों को हम वैक्सीन देने की स्थिति में आ जाएंगे। जुलाई अगस्त तक लगभग 25 से 30 करोड़ लोगों को हम वैक्सीन देने की योजना हमारी है और उसके हिसाब से पूरी तैयारियां देश के अंदर चल रही हैं।
3 vaccines are in last stage trials in India, 2 of them homegrown. The Oxford AstraZeneca vaccine is in 2nd and 3rd phase trials in various hospitals. India's own Covaxin is undergoing phase 3 human clinical trials at the AIIMS in Delhi and in other states. The Zydus has conducted phase 2 trials and the results are awaited. The only hiccup in these trials came at the Serum Institute of India when a Chennai volunteer claimed to have suffered after effects. The Serum Institute of India has rejected the charges, saying the adverse reaction was not due to the vaccine. The government and top medical body ICMR have assured that a vaccine can only be introduced after it passes all rigorous safety norms. India's vaccine development is keeping pace with the rest of the candidates across the globe. The government is confident that there will be good news on the vaccine front in 2021. Bureau Report, India Today.
And Dr. Mahajan, this is the good news that India has actually been waiting for, perhaps the world has been waiting for, readily available, inexpensive, easily movable and easy to store.
Absolutely. Absolutely. The vaccine Covaxin, which has been mentioned, which is a partnership between the Indian Council of Medical Research, ICMR, and Bharat Biotech in Hyderabad. This is an indigenously developed inactivated vaccine, and this can be stored at normal temperature in the fridge, as can be the Oxford AstraZeneca vaccine, and those are vaccines which are more suitable for India. Also in Ahmedabad, Zydus Cadila is making a DNA-based virus vaccine, which again would not require the minus 70 degrees refrigeration that is needed for Pfizer. So I think all 3 vaccines are in very good place. And if we look at the numbers that these companies are capable of manufacturing, then Serum Institute is able to manufacture about 800 million in a year of the the Oxford vaccine. And since all these vaccines required 2 doses, so you can half the number. So 400 million, and out of them, half of these are meant for India. That is 400 million for India, and 400 million, as per the contract signed, will go to other underprivileged countries of the world, as you mentioned, Africa, other parts of Asia, and maybe even South America. And
does this also mean, Dr. Jainer, does this mean that every citizen needs to be vaccinated, needs to get these jabs and 2 doses? Every citizen of the UK or every citizen across the world?
See, when we have any vaccine, the whole idea of vaccination is to prevent the condition. Now, as we know, this is more fatal in elderly population, so they'll be targeted. But the aim should be to vaccinate anyone above the age of 18 at least, because in children we don't see a very significant effect. We don't see them become unwell or needing hospitalization. So UK is hoping to vaccinate everyone above 18 by the end of spring, so that we are looking hopefully by March and April time we should have more the new normal, as they call it, because don't forget, it reduces the severity, but none of the vaccines have been have shown any effect on reducing transmission from one to another. So we may still have to carry on with masks.
That's a very important point you make there, ma'am. Absolutely. Mask on will be the new norm, the new normal. Hand hygiene extremely important. But Dr. Jainer and Dr. Mahajan, many thanks for joining me. There is hope. There is hope of a brighter future starting next week in the UK, early 2021 for India and the rest of the world. And we'll be tracking that story very closely.